Good morning, good morning. Well, it's time for What's She Making Wednesday, and today we're going to use the Changing Leaves bundle, the Choose Happy stamp set, an embossing folder. I'm so excited. And these are back in stock, so if you've had these on your wish list, now is the time. I've had this project ready for us to do for a few weeks, and they're back, so I get to share it with you. So love this Changing Leaves bundle. We've got the different leaves, the different fall leaves, some great sentiments. We've got these great dies and embossing folders. So it's a hybrid embossing folder, which means we can put these dies right into the embossing folder, and it will cut if you want. It will cut. You just kind of pop this in just like so. Close it up, run it through, and it will die cut and emboss, give your paper that texture all at the same time. So that is a fun option with this bundle. So let's get started. Let me share with you today's card, which is a Happy Thanksgiving autumn card. So we're using pumpkin pie, some basic white, and some of the copper clay for our words. We've got some sequins, and you can see all of the texture that embossing folder has added to our card. So let's get started. Let me grab my parts and pieces here. We're gonna start with the inside of our card. We'll bring in some pumpkin pie. And we've got our leaf, our autumn leaf. So we're just gonna stamp this right in that bottom corner. So far, easy peasy, right? Then we've got our base here, which is pumpkin pie. I'm gonna grab my bone folder. We're just gonna fold this in half, burnish that edge so it lays nice and flat. Grab a little bit of liquid glue. Put this right on the back here and put this right inside our card. So this is where we can write our beautiful message, right? So part one, all done. Okay, part two is we're gonna take a piece of basic white, and we're gonna use that embossing folder, and we're gonna just run that right through our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and what will come out is this piece of basic white. Once we run that through, and it will emboss, which just means it gives the paper that texture, right? So you can see the raised parts, the lowered parts, and it just gives that extra detail to our card. So we've got that piece done. And then we're gonna stamp some leaves. So we want these leaves here. I chose not to emboss them with the texture since we have the texture below, but we're gonna pop these up over that same area. So we need to stamp some leaves. So we'll set those aside, grab a piece of basic white here, and I'm gonna share a little trick with you. So we've got our biggest embossing, our biggest acrylic block, and we've got our die. And you can see our die is 3 leaves all in one, so we want to make sure that we stamp them in the order that they're in here, right? So the easy way that I have found to do this is to lay our die down, and actually let me clean this off so that I don't get pumpkin pie fingers while I touch this, right? Okay, so we got that all cleaned off. This is our stamped chamois. Love that because you can just get it wet with some water and clean your stamps right off. Okay, so we've got our block here, our stamps. We've got our biggest block and we've got our die. And so what I like to do is set my die down and then set it down this way with the flat side up. And then I like to take my stamps and just kind of anchor them in there. Sorry, I am totally not even on camera. There you go. Okay, so take my stamp, anchor it kind of in there with the flat side facing up, and then take let me just do it with all of these for us. Put the small one in there. So I'm just making sure that the flat side is up, the image side is down, and then I am just taking my rubber, my photopolymer, and just kind of securing all those pieces. They kind of fit in the groove that way, so you'll know you're in the right spot. So now I know they're set up. So then I just have to take my block and kind of anchor it so that it's over all of those images. Press that down. So now you can see, and then pick it up. And then all you have to do then is just to kind of remove your die. So now all of these are where they are, so that when you die cut, you'll be able to line your image right up with your die and your stamps, your stamped images. And then since this is such a big block, it's kind of hard to dip it into the ink. So I just take my pumpkin pie and we're just gonna ink it while it's on its back. So I just kind of go over it, and then this way you can really see, do I need a little more ink here or there? So then it's all inked up, right? Set that aside. And now we're gonna stamp this down. So when we do this, this is a piece of basic white, so you can just stamp it down. And then you might need to stand up or just, use some pressure. And what I like to do is I like to go all around a couple of times, pressing in. Since these leaves are pretty intricate, you want to make sure that you get all of those little areas, right? So push, push, push. Kind of hold it there. And there you go. So now when we go to die cut these, look how easy this is. So we've got our die. Now we'll be able to line this right up. I'll usually use like a Post-it note or some Post-it tape, something to hold my die in place. But do you see how they line up so easy peasy that way? If you stamp them all separately and then try to die cut them, then you're fiddling with where they fit, and it can be kind of frustrating, right? So I love that little tip. Hope you do too. And just to save us a bit of time on our video, I already die cut those and run them through. So we have those pieces ready for our card. So do you love that tip? Makes it so easy, right? To die cut that. All right, so now we've got our piece here that we embossed. We've got our leaves that we already die cut. And then I'm gonna grab some Stampin' Dimensionals. So this is our foam dimensionals. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to put these kind of like a puzzle piece or something that we're gonna put right back together. So we're just gonna line them up right over. So we've got our little leaf here, and then we're just gonna find where it is on our layer here. And then I'm just gonna put that right over where it already was. So you can do this with all of them, or you can just do a couple. So for this one, I just did a couple. So you can see on this one, I just did a couple. Each time you emboss it, you might get a different image because there's different parts of that that folder, right? So let's see, we could do this one here. We could do our biggest one here. We could do all three. So I think what we'll do on this one is our two smaller ones, and then we'll put our sentiments down below. Okay, so on this one, the same thing. We're gonna add some dimensionals right to that. We're gonna put it right onto its piece. So just kind of right over that. If it hangs over, that's good. So now we're just gonna grab our snips. We're gonna flip it over. Guess I didn't need a dimensional right there, huh? That's okay. Okay, so we'll flip that over, and so now it's flush. So now we've just kind of gave those edges a little border. So that's why we do this before we attach it, so it's easier to get those layers off. Now we'll just get to decide if we want it this way or if we want it this way. I guess we'll do it this way. Then we're going to add some liquid glue to this. So you'll see all these cards could be a little different depending on which leaves you used or which direction you put your basic white into your embossing folder. Center that on there. Okay, so now we're gonna let this dry and we're gonna do our sentiment. So remember on Friday, I shared with you my little scrap box. So this is what I love to do with this, is to just grab a piece out of there. So now it just makes it easy when I'm doing sentiments, right? And for this sentiment, we're gonna use copper clay ink. And for the words, these come from the Choose Happy set. So one thing I really love about this set is the words, and they're kind of what I would call like a build your word. So you can use your choose, you can use your happy, or you can use any of these and put them together. So I'm using happy, and I love that there is Thanksgiving in here. So happy and Thanksgiving. I already mounted them just to save for easy stamping. So we'll just ink that up with copper clay. Doesn't really matter where you put it on here because we are going to fussy cut these. And you don't have to, you could put them on a strip and do a banner. But for these, they're real easy, I think, to fussy cut these ones. So the Thanksgiving is just kind of some straight lines, right? And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's handmade, right? And then with our happy, we're just gonna go through and just kind of go right around, moving our paper as we cut. There we go. So we've got our happy and our Thanksgiving. And these we're going to, you can glue them, you can pop them up, whatever you prefer. So I think we will use our mini Stampin' dimensionals. So these are the tiny guys. And we will put them right on the back of our sentiments. And then peel those backings off. And one thing I love about cutting the sentiments this way is then you can kind of angle them so they don't really need to line up. So I think we'll do like our happy there. And then we've got our Thanksgiving. And that way you don't have to make it straight. You can just purposely purposefully angle both of the words. And then they don't matter if they're straight on or they line up exactly, right? Of course, we want to finish this with some bling, so I am using sequins today. These are our shiny sequins, and they come in all these bright, fun colors, but one of them is this pretty, it's like a light pumpkin pie. That's what I think it looks like. So we are actually going to put a bunch today. We're going to put 5. So we're just going to go kind of all around. I'm using my take your pick tool. And I think one more. I'm just kind of filling in the spaces here just to give it some wow. And there you have our easy Happy Thanksgiving card. So let me share with you a couple of variations on this. So this is the one we showed in the beginning. This is this one has gold sequins. This one is the pumpkin pie sequins with our leaves in a different little area. And then I have a third option for you if you just wanted to do one, maybe back it with a little bit of designer series paper. But you can see all of these are similar, but give us a little bit different of a look, right? So I hope you love today's card. I will, of course, have the tutorials for you if you're subscribed to my weekly email, my Buzz Bulletin. You will get that in your inbox tomorrow. If not, you can certainly subscribe, and I would so appreciate that. I also have a blog, stampinqueenbee.com, where you can find all my past tutorials with a free printable PDF each week for you to download and use. It's got all the measurements, the supply list, as well as step-by-step instructions and pictures. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.